Silence is more than the absence of sound. It is a form of communication, a social signal, and a window into cultural values. Yet, how silence is perceived varies dramatically across societies. In some cultures, silence is respected and even cherished. In others, it is feared, avoided, or interpreted as awkwardness. The sociology of silence helps us understand why these differences exist and what they reveal about human behavior, communication, and cultural priorities. From a psychological perspective, silence serves multiple functions. It allows for reflection, emotional regulation, and deep thought. In cultures that value introspection, silence is a space for personal growth, mindfulness, and careful deliberation. For example, in Japan and many East Asian cultures, silence is often seen as a sign of respect, thoughtfulness, and self-control. Pausing in conversation demonstrates consideration for others' opinions and prevents impulsive or disrespectful speech. By contrast, in many Western cultures, silence is often uncomfortable. Americans, for example, tend to fill pauses in conversation with small talk, jokes, or commentary. Silence can be perceived as awkward, signaling social discomfort, disagreement, or disengagement. People are trained to speak up, express opinions, and maintain verbal interaction, reflecting cultural values of individuality, expressiveness, and social participation. Sociologists argue that these differences stem from underlying cultural frameworks. Some societies prioritize collectivism, valuing group harmony, consensus, and social cohesion. In such societies, silence functions as a tool for maintaining relationships, preventing conflict, and showing humility. Other societies emphasize individualism, where assertiveness, self-expression, and vocal participation are prized. In these contexts, silence can be interpreted as passivity, uncertainty, or social inefficiency. Silence also has symbolic power. In some religious and spiritual traditions, silence is sacred. Monks, meditation practices, and retreats use silence to cultivate awareness, self-discipline, and connection with the divine. In these contexts, silence is not empty, it is meaningful, purposeful, and even transformative. Conversely, in societies that prioritize constant verbal exchange, silence can create tension, anxiety, or suspicion, revealing the cultural discomfort with unstructured, nonverbal space. Interestingly, silence is never truly passive. Even when no words are spoken, social meaning is communicated. A pause in conversation can signal thoughtfulness, tension, agreement, or disapproval, depending on context. Understanding silence requires interpreting tone, facial expression, body language, and situational cues. Sociologists emphasize that silence is culturally coded. What is polite in one society may be rude in another, and what is meaningful in one context may be empty in another. Silence also functions as a form of power. In hierarchical societies, silence can signify deference, obedience, or respect toward authority figures. Conversely, choosing to remain silent strategically can be a subtle form of resistance or control. The meaning of silence is never fixed, it is negotiated, interpreted, and deeply tied to social context. Cross-cultural studies highlight that reactions to silence shape social interaction. In some cultures, prolonged pauses are welcomed, providing time for thought and reflection. In others, even brief silence triggers discomfort and a compulsion to speak. These differences influence everything from business negotiations to personal relationships, showing that understanding silence is crucial for effective cross-cultural communication. Technology is also changing our relationship with silence. In digital communication, the absence of response, what some call digital silence, can carry significant social meaning. Waiting for a text reply, encountering an empty inbox, or seeing seen without response can create anxiety, frustration, or interpretation challenges. Even in virtual spaces, cultural attitudes towards silence shape expectations, reactions, and behavior. So why do some cultures value silence while others fear it? Because silence is not just absence, it is presence, communication, and reflection. It serves social, emotional, and cultural purposes, acting as a mirror for societal priorities, norms, and values. Understanding silence reveals how humans navigate relationships, authority, thought, and cultural expression. The sociology of silence teaches us that quiet is never empty. Whether embraced or avoided, it is always meaningful. By paying attention to silence, we gain insight into cultural differences, social dynamics, and human psychology. The next time you encounter silence, whether in conversation, a meeting, or a public space, consider its context, its meaning, and the culture that shapes it. Silence, it turns out, speaks volumes.